There is grandeur in this view of life.
Welcome to Evolution Talk with Rick Coast, an introduction to the oldest story ever told.
Before we begin, I want to first sincerely thank those of you who are supporting the show through Patreon. I can't say enough about it because it will help the show's lights stay on. And for those of you who are thinking about it, there is a link on the support page at evolutiontalk.com. You can also get there directly by going to evolutiontalk.com/support. Now, on with the show. In the last episode, we were introduced to evolutionary psychiatry, not to be confused with evolutionary psychology, which I did an episode on almost 100 episodes ago. As a quick recap, evolutionary psychology explores why our brains function the way they do. I like to compare it to a computer or an information processor. There wasn't a designer behind it. It was all shaped and formed by natural selection. When a chance mutation in the form or function of an ancient brain enabled an ancestor to survive a little longer and pass that mutation on, it persisted. It became part of the processor. The brain is a complex organic machine which we may never fully understand. Evolutionary psychology seeks to connect current behaviors to ancient survival strategies. With any complex machine, especially computers, there are glitches in the software. They may be small and they may be unnoticeable, or they could present themselves in ways that we don't expect. There are bugs in our mental software that don't quite provide a benefit in today's fast-paced, ever-changing society. In some cases, we label those glitches mental disorders. Somewhere hidden in the software of our evolutionary heritage are lines of code that once provided survival benefit, but which we classify today as mental illness. It could even be that the hidden code in question isn't directly related to what we deem a disorder, but is a side effect of another line of code that now has unanticipated results. It's a complicated mess of what developers call spaghetti code. Spaghetti code often leads to bugs, and bugs present themselves in the outward function of an organism. Evolutionary psychiatry seeks to understand the origin of the bugs. I have my dad's body. Not literally. I mean, when I look down at myself, if I'm in a sitting position, I see my father. If I'm sitting in a certain way while watching television in a t-shirt and, say, sweatpants, the person I see when I glance down is my dad. It's comforting in a way. He's been gone for almost 25 years, yet he's still with me. I inherited genes from both of my parents, and in some cases, my dad's genes are visible. When a gene expresses itself visibly, it's known as phenotype. But there's a lot lying below the surface that we can't see. Imagine my dad was, say, a robot, and I, as a robot, was modeled after him. So, as not to reinvent the wheel, his information processor was also used to animate my body. When I move or make a decision, that decision is based on my experience, but also what my original code, that which I inherited, suggests that I do. What if a line of code suggests that I smile when I pass someone on the street? Well, fair enough, it's a nice thing to do, and it's helped in the past. It tells the passing person that all is well and that I pose no threat. Now, what if a few hundred years from now, things change and smiling in public is frowned upon? Can you imagine? That would be a very strange society. But let's say that's the case. What if there's a group of folks who cannot control when they smile and they continue to do so every time they pass someone? It might be seen as a glitch. And they're not doing anything wrong consciously. Their internal processing has surfaced the code to smile when someone else is present. Now, for some reason, that line of code presents itself whereas it's been suppressed or overridden in others. For those who can't control when they smile, it's a glitch. But sometimes that glitch isn't as obvious. Sometimes it's internal to the organism and not expressed as obviously as a smile. Those lines of ancient code that were once beneficial may lead to mental health challenges in our modern world. Remember evolution mismatch theory from our last episode? Well, some of the mental challenges that we, as modern organisms, face today are depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia, to name just a few. The answer to why some of us experience these challenges most likely lies in our ancient code. Now, it would be impossible to dive deeply into any one of these mental challenges today. That's for an evolutionary psychiatrist to do. But we can imagine that depression might have been an ancient withdrawal mechanism that once served as a benefit. It could be a chemical reaction to the environment which helped an organism avoid a stressful situation. Organisms under stress often make poor decisions. I know I do. When faced with overwhelming situations, it really might be better to withdraw. In our complex society with so many factors that dictate how we should act and react, and the fact that it changes constantly, our desire to withdraw may lead to a depressive state. And schizophrenia may be an ancient line of code linked to creativity and thinking out of the box. And therein lies the challenge faced by evolutionary psychiatry. It's a field that's rich with potential, but it's also somewhat of a landmine of speculation and ethical considerations. Long before the world was entirely mapped, sea captains navigated by stars and compasses. And every once in a while they would see a bird and realize, well, there must be land ahead. And oftentimes the shoreline that they approached was unknown and uncharted. The landmass that they saw through their spyglass could not be found on any map. So it was up to them and their crew to explore it and report back on what they found. They were facing the unknown. Evolutionary psychiatry also faces the unknown. With it comes the thrill of discovery and also the danger of misunderstanding or misinterpreting the landscape. However, it's a challenge worth taking. Tracing and identifying those ancient lines of code that may result in problems in our modern world could revolutionize mental health treatments. We may one day be able to intervene by suppressing the exact lines of code needed. Just like the imaginary world I presented where some folks can suppress their smile while others can't, understanding the underlying code responsible for those individuals could lead to breakthrough therapies. In doing so, we can envision a future where mental health care is personalized and tailored and aligned to each individual's unique genetic history. Now, as we close this chapter in evolutionary psychiatry, it's clear that our journey through the mind's ancient pathways offers both a deeper understanding of our mental health struggles and also hope for more effective and compassionate treatments. A deeper exploration of our evolutionary heritage, those lines of ancient code, can move mental health care to a place where it is as natural and essential as, well, the air that we breathe. And as I said, that is a journey worth taking. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Evolution Talk. I'm Rick Coast, and if you find value in this show, please consider becoming a patron at evolutiontalk.com/support. I'd love to keep the show alive, and I can only do so with your help. Spread the word and share the show with your friends, your classmates, and your teachers. At evolutiontalk.com, you'll also find more information, some recommended books, and also ways to contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope your week is going well, and until next time, please take care of yourself.
Evolution Talk is a Rick Coast production.